I think most of y'all know the drill at this point. We react to Wave 4, then we make a tier list of Wave 3, so let's get into it. I hear Singapore. I hear Singapore. Ooh, look at all the... Look, what in the world? That's Waluigi. Ooh. Oh man, these tracks look sick. There's Singapore. Oh, I love this remix. Dang. Bangkok Rush too this early? Wow. Dang, and I wasn't expecting that. Read DK Summit. Gotta love DK Summit. It's pretty neato. Pretty cool. Amsterdam trips. We're getting 3 cities this wave. Dang. That's pretty impressive, not gonna lie. Riverside Park, that's an interesting choice. With some, with piranha plants too. DS Mario Circuit, let's go! And Waluigi Stadium, the first GameCube track. Ooh, man, these look good. And then Yoshi's Island. Good old Yoshi's Island, including Birdo. Man, this remix is sick. I love that remix. Dang. Man, that's a really interesting track selection. Like, I'll take it. I'll take it, though. Man, there's a lot of cities in this wave, but I'm not complaining. And we got Birdo included in Wave 4. Seems like the only one. Alright. And coming March 9th, so next week. Can't wait, can't wait, can't wait, can't wait, can't wait. Alright, so not gonna lie, that was a pretty solid track selection. I mean, in my personal opinion, we got some of my personal favorite cities in that wave. We're getting finally a GameCube track. We're getting my personal favorite Mario Circuit. We're getting DK Summit. And what else are we getting? What else were we getting in this wave? Hold on. Yeah, Riverside Park. Riverside Park should be an interesting one, but hey, it looks really good in this game. Like, dang. And then, of course, we're getting Yoshi's Island, which we already knew about. So, hey, I'm fine with this track selection. Should be a good one. But yeah, with all that being said, let's get on to the tier list. So, Waves 1 and 2 come out. Both are really solid and fun to race on. They have some issues, yeah, but overall, I think they're great. And then Wave 3 came out and blew them both out of the water. Honestly, this is the best wave that has come out so far. And because of that, it's really hard to rank all 8 of these tracks because all of them are so good. But dang it, I'm gonna try my best. Same rules as before, only comparing these tracks with each other and not with the previous or future tracks. With all that being said, let's get started. In the Rock Cup, we begin with Tour London Loop. In Tour, this city was just okay overall. They're not bad tracks by any means, but they're far from the best. However, as Mario Kart 8 has proven, when you put all 3 layouts together, it makes for a pretty neat time. It's fun driving through the streets of London, going through a marketplace, crossing London Bridge, passing by the London Eye, and visiting Buckingham Palace with Chain Chomps guarding the grounds. Until lap 3 where they break loose and run all over London. One decided to take a dip in the River Thames. Overall, this is one of the trickier city tracks due to how windy the layout is, but it makes for an overall fun time. This is in the middle of the pack of city tracks right now for me, but it's pretty solid overall. And for this wave, London Loop goes in the B tier. Next up is GBA Boo Lake. Continuing the trend of solid GBA remakes, Boo Lake is a great time. I love the visual overhaul of this track. We're not over a bottomless pit anymore, we're actually on a lake. Amazing! But that's not all. You also go on an anti-gravity section and actually dive into the lake, which is a really neat twist. Now, I'll admit, compared to the other tracks, there isn't a whole lot going on. It is pretty simple at the end of the day, but overall, Boo Lake is still fun to race on. This track unfortunately goes in the C tier for this wave, but it's not as bad as other C tier tracks from previous waves. Just thought I'd put that out there. Moving on is 3DS Rock Mountain. Now this is an iconic track, being one of the first to show off the gliding mechanic of Mario Kart 7 at the time. And it was one of the first tracks to be included in Mario Kart Tour, so I'm not surprised to see this in the DLC. And in the Rock Cup no less. And yeah, this is still a fun track even to this day. I love the starting section as you're high up on the mountain, then going into the cave with bats that somehow got in my way while recording this. Drice. Then comes the iconic glider sections over the forest, followed by the climb back up the mountain, which is in anti-gravity now, so that's cool. There's also a fun off-road shortcut if you have enough mushrooms, so that makes online play really fun. At the end of the day, this is one of the weaker tracks in this wave, but man, I still have a good time with it. This goes in B tier. And finally, for the rock up is Wii Maple Tree Way. Man, Mario Kart Wii has had some amazing tracks in the DLC, and Maple Tree Way is no exception. First of all, this track is beautiful. I love how the textures look as you race through the track. From gliding towards the tree, to visiting the Wigglers, to gliding over the gap back to start, it's such a relaxing track and a great one to look at. However, the best part of this track is that it's the first one to add the half-pipe ramps to Mario Kart 8. Heck yeah! So yeah, I really have nothing else to say. This track is just really great. I'm gonna go so far as to say this is an S tier track for this wave. I just love it that much. Next up is the Moon Cup, which begins with Tour Berlin Byways. Now in my opinion, this is in my top 4 city tracks in Tour. It just has some interesting locations to drive on, and that definitely carried over to 8. This is the only city track so far to have actual traffic on the road, which makes things really chaotic, especially on lap 2. I hope insurance covers for this. There's also a train station you drive through, or through the actual train if you're cool. And at the beginning of lap 3, you drive by the Berlin Wall, which is occupied by Wumps. Not gonna lie, this is one of the most charming things ever. I hold this track in high regard. It's definitely a favorite of mine. For this wave though, I think it barely misses out on S tier this time, but it's by the narrowest of margins. And hey, A tier is nothing to sneeze at. Next up is DS Peach Gardens. Now, I'll admit, I wasn't the most hyped for this track initially. It's not a bad track, it's pretty solid, but it's not one of my favorite DS tracks. And when it came to Tour, it was just okay overall. So I didn't go into the 8th version with the highest of expectations. So you can imagine my surprise when I played this track for the first time. In fact, you can right here. But yeah, I do like how this track looks visually. The statues in the hedge maze and the added piranha plant are nice additions. But not only that, and making the flower patch at the beginning bigger, they added a new path that routes you backwards on the final lap. Now I saw the Kalimari Desertress coming since the train track route was in Tour, but I did not see this coming. And you know what? I welcome it with open arms. So in a span of a race, it went from potentially one of my least favorite tracks in the wave to one of my favorites. So this track goes right into A tier. Moving on to Tour Merry Mountain. This was the first non-city nitro to be added to Tour, and definitely became a favorite of mine. And it's nice to see it here in Mario Kart 8. Christmas is the name of the game here, and this track is full of it. Starting in a nice village, you climb up the mountain either via a normal path or train tracks. Then you continue up the mountain until you reach the top with all the presents and a half-pipe ramp, before going down the mountain as the flying train goes by. Is this track a little simple layout-wise? Admittedly, yeah. But it's still a fun track that I can't help but like it a lot. As for the ranking, this barely reaches A tier for me. I think the presentation carries this track a lot. And finally is 3DS Rainbow Road. Not gonna beat around the bush and say this is my favorite Rainbow Road track in the series. I already loved it in 7, and I really love it here. First off, man, the glow up on this track is phenomenal. I love the color of the rainbow, and the background is just wonderful. Driving by the planets and going on the rings of Saturn never gets old. And the fact that you go on the moon is really fun. And the final section is amazing, especially when the final lap music kicks in. Now, to be fair, this did get nerfed between versions, so you can't do any of the coolest shortcuts from the original. But I don't care, this track is still fantastic, and goes directly into S tier. And with that, this is my Wave 3 tier list. Again, this was a really hard list to do because all these tracks are pretty close in quality to one another. If I were using a universal ranking system between all of the DLC tracks, most of these would probably be one tier higher than they are now. I could see myself flip-flopping between what tracks I like more depending on my mood. They're that close for me. And hey, Wave 4 seems to be in a similar state with its track lineup, so I can't wait for that.
Anyways, those are my opinions. What do you think of Wave 3, and are you excited for Wave 4? Let me know in the comments below. Also like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and check out these other videos here. With all that being said, until the next video or stream, goodbye.